Welcome back, Internet. Welcome to Makers on Tap. And tonight I am Joe, your incredibly awkward host. It's apparently been a while since I've opened the show.
You really were about to say welcome back, cool cats and kittens, weren't you? That's what you were going into.
You know, I'm gonna go with that. That's why I halted.
Fair enough. Chris
and Aaron
and Brook.
Welcome, Brook.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Tonight we've got Brook Drumm joining us. And we haven't done this in a while, but what's everyone drinking tonight? I'm drinking Laser Snake from Three Floyds, my favorite beer bottle.
Left over?
I've bought so much beer since the world started burning that it's been easy to keep beer around.
Fair enough.
Nice.
I didn't know if you were still working off your TH3 sleepover stuff. Oh,
yeah. It's just I've been drinking beer that's easy to get and keeping these around.
There you go.
The Doomsday stash.
Right.
I am going a little bit thicker on the liquids tonight and having a boozy milkshake in which I basically just made a milkshake and threw a good amount of booze in it. So we're going to see how I make it through it.
Sounds disgusting to me.
It really does.
So the main one I threw in was butterscotch schnapps. So it's just got like a good kind of like caramelly. It's like a caramel milkshake. It's really fucking good, actually.
Nope.
Dude, I'm going to compare how you're talking now to the end of the podcast. I'm just going to edit it down. See how that goes.
We will certainly see.
Yeah. I'm having Sequench Ale, Dogfish Head, Secession Sour. I've been really into sours lately, so I got that one. I got another one lined up. I don't even know how to say this. Vibrant Potion, I think, is what it is, but it's spelled funky. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's a collaboration. Yeah, it's Potion. Ocean, but it's a collaboration with Rodenbach. Anyway, it's good stuff. It's my favorite sour.
Fair enough.
I've got a bit of a throwback. Just vodka and Coke.
Is it Kirkland vodka?
Kirkland vodka?
It is yep. Kirkland vodka.
One of these days, Costco's going to sponsor the show.
It is funny how so much is closed right now, but liquor stores open. They are here.
Man, we need coping mechanisms.
It's funny though, because I'm a whiskey guy too, and I used to be just Jameson, but I found this really cool local distillery. All sold out. It's been sold out for weeks. It was the cheap stuff, but it's good.
Yeah, I remember when the apocalypse first started and they were discussing whether or not liquor stores were essential businesses, and a bunch of psychologists chimed in and said that liquor stores and weed where it's legal, weed stores are both essential businesses to public psyche. So that's why they're still open. And, you know.
Has it been a big change for you guys? I joke, but it's totally for real. For a couple of years now, I've been like self-sequestered. This is my lifestyle all the time.
I'm the same.
Is it much different for you guys?
For the last year.
Yeah. For like, it's kind of funny, like all of the memes coming out about like, hey, make sure that you're checking in on all your extrovert friends because like, even though you're an introvert and we're prepared for this for forever, like they weren't. And it's like, yeah, like I had 2 games come out that I'd been waiting for like probably about 3 years. And I was like, oh, I'm set. Mm-hmm. Like I logged 140 hours in one of them. And then the other one I logged about 40 hours in. So I'm like, I'm good. I ain't doing nothing. I'm just playing games.
Yeah, I haven't had much of a problem either. I still socialize with pretty much everybody from the makerspace on Slack. That was my primary mode of communication with them before the lockdown. So that didn't really change a whole lot.
Ours here was the makerspace that I'm a member of. They Make ICT is what it is. And right before all this happened, they were in the middle of getting a move going we bought some new property and we're expanding. And so for, hot 5 minutes, it was like, what are we going to do? But it's been great because it gave everybody time to do the move and get all set up. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, for real. Like the last year, I've been mostly working from my house and like working on printer farm and doing projects like that. And that really made me prepared for all of this. The big change has just been having all of my kids home during all of it. And that's been a change.
do you guys, I don't know you guys well enough, Aaron and Chris. I'm learning.
Yes.
Do you guys have kids? Are you having the same
No.
no?
I have a 2-year-old,
Yeah.
so that's been a bit of a struggle too.
Luckily, I've been. I have not had to deal with that struggle.
I currently get like 2 hours of free time during the day, and then anything after 8 p.m. when she goes down. So it becomes a toss up between like self-care and like just binging a Netflix show to, relax or try and get something done.
I've got a 15-year-old boy, Levi. He's the online school. I'm not. I don't know that they were really ready, to move to online school. But he says it's so easy. He gets his work done really fast, and then a few chores, and he's on his, Xbox just gaming.
Yeah. Now my mom's actually a teacher in Texas currently, and they were apparently not ready in the slightest to move to full online schooling.
Yeah.
And like all of the teachers are having to come up with their own curriculums and everything, and like self adapt to it and everything. And it's like none of them were prepared for it. They weren't taught how to do online schooling, and so it's like it's been a real struggle all around for everybody to be able to do anything. Like it's been crazy.
Yeah, I've got a college kid too, McKenna. She's back from college. They closed it down, and they were pretty much ready with that, but she misses this social aspect. But it's not a 2-year-old. I don't have to deal with it. They're pretty self-sufficient. They feed themselves and clean themselves.
Oh, what's that like?
That is nice. That's my kids. Like, I'm getting up at like 9:30, 10 sometimes because my kids get out of bed and make themselves breakfast. And it's like, this is okay.
Wow, that's awesome. Breakfast for Levi is whatever dry cereal in a bowl, and he just eats it like this with his hands every morning.
Kids are weird, man.
Whatever. Yeah. He's a good kid.
So
what have y'all been working on?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm working on.
yes,
Go for it.
The reboot of Printrbot, and specifically finishing up all of the drawings for a new printer. So, man, you talk about appreciate all of my staff that I used to have. Now I have to learn how to do all this stuff myself, but it's been fun. But man, the detail that goes into doing that, because it's folded sheet metal, and it'll look a lot like the old Plus. It's a box, but a thin box, cantilevered bed, and man, you can go over that thing 100 times. There's still more to do, but I think tomorrow it'll get sent off so we can get a prototype made, but lots and lots and lots of designing.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you think you're
Yeah, Joe and I were working on we got 2 of the bare bones kits for the Simple Pro.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was putting that together last year, it was you could tell how much work and effort went into the design of some of those frame parts, especially like where the extruder and hot end is.
Yeah.
Like just everything's folding every which way.
I know.
Like it was it was nice.
I was super involved with that one. Brian was, I don't know if you guys Well, Brian was the guy that was on a TV show with me, Brian Rowe. He is so good at Inventor. And he would do all of that cleanup work at the end and stuff. But then he left and we had to, try to do what Brian did. And it was really, really, really hard. But, when you got a water jet and we had press brake and, everything we needed to do the prototypes in house, it's a lot easier because, you can screw it up and it's like, whatever, just do another one. So we'd always make like 5 parts. And if we got one working printer out of that, cause the folds were off or whatever, dialing in the stops on the press and all that, it was great, but without any of that, it feels so final. That's why I'm taking so long to do this. It's like, I want to get it right. I know I'm not going to get it all right the first time, but I want to get close.
Doing bends where there's bolts that have to line up and they're depending on the bends to be in the right place. That's such a hard thing. Get like all your K factors just right and to know where all that's going to land. That's such a difficult thing to do. But I finally built my pro kit this morning with my twins, and
I saw the pictures, man. That was awesome.
My 6-year-old daughter, who is like the artist of the family and the least mechanical and into this stuff, she's built most of it. Yeah. She was just sitting there. I like start the bolts for her and cool. Like, all right, you do all these. Okay. We had a blast doing it. It was semi because you were going to be on the show, but I've really just been waiting for a day when I had nothing to do and I had them and I needed to entertain them. And it's like, all right, this really is the day. So.
Right. I think it's cool how this time where we're all kind of chilling at home, I'm seeing so much more of my old customers and people get, dusting off the printers and stuff. I think getting that hobby back, back on the desktop and working on stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll take boredom for, engagement to happen. That's fine.
Well, and I don't think it's boredom so much as it's like, there's finally a call to arms. Like
are you guys doing the visors?
We're doing visors, but we also have one of our members of our makerspace designed an N95 alternative mask that he's partnering with a couple mask labs from very large companies that everyone would know if I said them, to make something that is, they're 3D printed prototypes. They're going to be vacuum formed for finalized, but we've been working through iterations with him on those, and that's mostly what all of my printers has been running is prototypes and design revisions for him. So,
that's cool. So it's a prototype. It's not meant to be 3D printed. It's not for everyone.
All the prototypes that we're testing are all 3D printed and they're passing. So it's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always, when I would explain, back in the early days and you guys probably experienced this with whatever machine that you're fiddling with, people don't really know, they didn't always know what CNC was or what a 3D printer was. And I would explain it and they kind of got their head, oh yeah, maybe I saw something like that. And then there's always this pause and they would say, what do you print? What do you do with it?
Yes.
It's nice to have here's what you do with it. You do this and you do this and you do this. It is nice to have a reason to print. I think it's great for the movement.
Definitely.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that 3D printing has always brought to the table is rapid prototyping. So it's like we can smash through designs like no other, and then send it to a method to actually be mass produced. And so it's helped immensely and stuff like that, whether it's mass visors or even the ear protectors. All of that has been smashed design very quickly, just because the visors and the ear protectors take 20 minutes to print. They're knocked out insanely quick. Visors maybe a little bit longer, but I think the ear protectors are stupid quick. It's only 10 layers or something like that. but it's helped so much, and now so many people are seeing like the use for it and what it can do to actually help when people actually utilize it correctly.
Am I the only guy though that I'll be a curmudgeon here for just a second, because I'm a huge 3D printing fan, obviously, devoted the last decade of my life to it. But when these guys are, I've got all these people saying, "Hey, you got to start printing masks and shields and stuff," and I'm like, well, isn't there a better way to do that? And I don't hear a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm doing what I can. And if everybody does it, yeah, it would be, you can knock out thousands and thousands and thousands. But then I hear like reports from, somebody with an injection molder. Yeah, I made 24,000 today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, yes. Let's not pretend like this is the right way to do, 5 million masks. I mean, it's fun. And if I do know that some hospitals are accepting every 3D printed one, mask or ear thing, and they welcome all of them. So that's fantastic, doing our part. But I haven't heard a lot of discussion of now, folks, if we injection mold these, we'd be a lot faster. So I kind of just kept quiet because I didn't want people to be discouraged by that thought, because I'd love to see everybody print, I think it's great. What do you guys think about that?
Well, that's it.
When
Like, Josh is working on that, isn't he? Like he's working on being able to injection mold. He's already got some of the pieces ready to be injection molded.
We're not injecting them. I think they're vacuum formed.
Or vacuum forming. Yeah.
Same idea. Proper manufacturing technique. And
right, yeah.
And that's been our discussion from the beginning, is that 3D printing is a stopgap measure until proper manufacturing methods can be spun up. And it seems like everybody that we've talked to gets that. Because the first conversation we had with the hospital is like, well, we're going to want 100,000 masks. And it's like, well, we can make like 50. And that will that will get you until the point where we can, you can find 100,000 masks. Like, we are not trying to solve your problem. We're trying to fill a void while you solve your problem. Like, let's be real here. We're not going to save the world, but we're going to save a couple weeks,
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And surely the response time for us, like if it's a weekend and somebody needs something tomorrow, like, we're your guys. They're closed, and if you need it now, I'll come over tonight, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's been neat to see that type of action. And not just that, but people, I think, are thinking of like, wow, that happened, thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of masks, maybe 100,000. I don't know. I wonder what the number is.
I would bet over 100,000 now.
Yeah, it's got to be worldwide, probably quite a bit more than that, maybe, especially with Prusa rocking it,
Yeah.
But the fact that people like it got some attention, people like, well, what else I need, or what else I could use that for. I mean, it brings it to the front of mind, and like, well, yeah, it's a powerful tool for sure.
Yeah. Like the first thing that came to my mind after all this started happening and everybody started answering the call was, oh, we got to steal that for a soundbite. Was your Rep Rap is dead talk at the first ERF?
Oh yeah.
There's Brook up on stage yelling at everybody because they're printing Yoda heads when we could be like solving world problems. And then a world problem came up, and like everyone's like, "Hey, we could solve this." And
yeah, we need that, man. We need that.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm really proud of the community that they stepped up, and did solve it, and solved it in like the really right way. There's definitely people like Shapeways trying to profiteer off of all this.
Yeah, you're gonna get that. It's like the early days. I won't name names. I might name names, but it's like the early days when prosthetics, was like the big poster child, and don't get me started. But I just today even here's a good end of that story. there's a sordid backstory with that, by the way, that is pretty fun, but it's basically some companies were trying to say that, you know, their printers made things possible that wasn't really real. But today, Brent Wright is the guy's name. Additive America, I think, is a small company. They specialize in printing prosthetics. He's a prosthetist. He's an actual, like, he took a simple metal down. Every year he goes down to Guatemala, and he actually, the company bought one of the HP Jet Fusions, and they do certain parts that don't need to be customized. They do on the Jet Fusion or Fusion Jet. I never know which one it is. But anyway, it's like, oh, here's a prototype. Yeah, for you audio people out there, look at this.
Ooh, okay.
It's this big, blocky, simple metal handle.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, it's really, really, I mean, this stuff is, it's you know, it's nylon. It's really strong. But anyway, so they do the strong parts with that, and then they scan the kids. It's all kids, you know, their stump or their appendage or whatever it is that they're putting on. And they print the inner sleeves. And Brent is a great guy. And it's just, he sends me these videos of these kids. Like, their dream is to brush their own hair. I mean, it's a pretty simple dream. Or to be able to carry a bucket for their mom. And it's with like Printrbot parts and HP parts, and it's all kind of mashed together in this beautiful thing that, and he goes, Brooke, it's the materials now are at the point. He uses some crazy stuff, some stuff you've heard of and some you haven't, but he uses this stuff and he says, the materials are now that we leave them with the properly fitted part, and we've designed it and really printed it on an FDM printer, and they'll be using it next year, and probably they'll need a new one because of their size, their growth, but it's actually doing a real job and changing a real life. Now it's real.
That's so cool.
Actually happening. And the cool thing about it too is, you know, like this part, he does these because I'm working with him to do a version of the simple metal for prosthetics. And this part, I mean, I don't know what it would cost if you ordered it on a print service, but with their print service, you know, I don't know, that maybe $100 or something. It's ridiculous, but they're using extra space for little parts for me to prototype. And the FDM is actually for American prosthetists. Oh, Brent, forgive me if I've screwed some of this description up, but I'm doing my best. The way he described it to me was, you know, it's like $8 for a part that would be like $350 on an HP. And FDM works great, and they can't actually do all of the materials that FDM can. So, man, that's just music to my ears that there are now, we do know some things that are the right thing to print and the right way to use these. It's not somewhere around here. I got a Yoda head. I know it, but it's buried somewhere.
Right.
We can find ways to use these things, people.
I love that the technology's been around long enough now that it's not the hammer for all nails, it's the hammer for right nails. And now we're starting to get the kind of manufacturing democratized to the point where like more of these tools are available to people so that it's more ubiquitous and they can look at the right process and not the only process, you know? Like that's
Don't get me wrong though. I've just to jump in real quick. I am the guy too that also like one of the examples is I decided I was going to do my toilet handle. I've told this story, but my toilet handle broke and I was like, I could go to Target and be back in 10 minutes and I'd be flushing my toilet. It'd be great. I'm going to take all day to design a 3D printed toilet handle no one needs.
yes,
My man.
And I did it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
of course.
And it didn't work that well, but I did it.
I've never done
that's
that.
fun too, you know. My problem was I tried to print the long arm that like pulls up the thing, and that was where it failed. Anyway, we used it for months, but eventually I did go to Target. Turns out you don't need to do that. I wanted to. Thank you. That's fine, too. I'm all good with that.
But that's the thing, is like, I bet you learned a shit ton while going through that. Like, I bet you learned about all the design work that goes into that and maybe figuring out tolerance work for that. Like, there's a whole bunch that all of us just go out and do just because we can.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean we have to, but we learn a lot from it. And I think that's the thing. Like, that's what got me into 3D printers. Mm-hmm. I could have absolutely went and got a decent printer for the amount that I spent on the Zat. I absolutely could have. I could have gotten it. So long story short, RCL had a class where we made a knockoff TAS 5 and called it the Zat. And yeah, it's granted, there is still two that I know of. There's still two of them out there that are working from that class.
No, that's
but
cool.
The reason I wanted to get into it was I wanted to learn how it worked. I wanted to put our printer together, so I actually understood how it worked when it freaking broke. And it took me a year to build that motherfucker and get it running one print. A year. But you know what? I know every fucking part on that printer now.
He's 3/4 of the way
and
through that
even though
milkshake,
I don't
by the
have
way.
it. Yeah.
Time
I
code.
actually know, man. We absolutely can just like go and take the easy way out, but like it's not
I'm not
as rewarding.
saying easy. No, I'm not saying take the easy way. I'm saying like
Yeah.
I don't ever want to get onto somebody for learning. If tear it
Right,
apart, put
right.
it back together, do it wrong 5 times. I mean, that's my process. You know what I mean? That's why it's taken me so long to draw this latest printer, is I drew it really, really poorly several times in a row. And then you fix it all, you know? My boy is out. I got a 1965 Volkswagen Ghia that I don't think I can ever. I told him, I'm giving it to you, son. He's got his like permit or whatever. But I'm giving it to you, but if you ever want to sell it, don't. And he's like, no, I would never. I'm like, give it back to me. I don't get rid of it. It's a piece of junk. And I mean, I don't know why I've kept it for this long. You know what I mean? It does run, by the way. Interesting tie into the earlier prosthetic story. The guy, Richard, what is his name? Richard, I'll think, Van Az. Richard Van Az was the first guy to make the 3D printed hand. And he's a crusty old dude and he wouldn't mind me saying so, from South Africa. And he was up for the same reason I was going down to SoCal to do this prosthetic thing. Ended badly. But anyway, I picked him up at the airport and we had to go by I was getting this thing worked on for my daughter. And he came by and he's like, I want to see it. I'm like, it's in the back. I don't know if we can go back there. We're going back there. Okay, let's go. Walk back there. And he goes, that thing looks like crap. I'm like, yeah. Yep. And he walked right out into the front and he goes, what wheels can we get for that car? Those wheels are horrible. And I was like, Richard, I don't really have a budget for the wheels. He was like, shut up. What wheels can we get? These. Okay, I'll take those. And he takes out $100 bills and starts slapping them down on the counter. He buys 4 chrome wheels for my daughter. Like I had never even met her. He's like, those are proper wheels. Now get down the road. You'll get some rubber for the tires, right? Slaps down some more hundreds. That's the kind of guy he was. He was awesome. But anyway, I'm not getting rid of that car. And I don't know why, but it's taken 15 years for my son. I'm out in the garage all the time wrenching on something, but he's finally interested now that he's close.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what are we doing? And he's like, I want to paint it. I'm like, yes, you do. God. So,
all right.
So I'm like, yes. Okay. We're going out and, there's all kinds of rust and everything and whatever. And I'm like, okay, here's how you do it. I show him once. Now here's the sand. And he's like, what? And he just starts sanding like as light as possible. I was like, well, you're going to have to press harder than that. I left him there. I left him, and Margie, my wife, is like, well, shouldn't you be out there showing him how to do it? I was like, no, I want him to do it wrong a few times. That's how you learn.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you learn.
100%, especially in auto body. 'Cause learning is painful.
Oh.
Yes. You got to see this car. It is horrible. Like, shh, shh, shh. My favorite, try this when your kids are old enough. Try this joke. It worked with all of my kids. Straight face. You're out doing body work on whatever you got. And you're rattling the can, and they're like, what is that? Oh, it helps you shake it. It helps mix the paint. Here, I got to do some stuff. Rattle this until that rattling goes away, okay? And then I'll know it's ready. Keep a straight face. Rattle, 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 rattle. 10 minutes. Dad, it's not going away. Yeah, honey, I know it never goes away. What?
My daughter wants me
Every
to teach her to
kid.
spray paint so bad. And yeah, she's going to learn
Gotta
how to
use
spray
that.
paint during the apocalypse. And I'm going to use that. It's going to be great.
That is one thing that is a little bit of a bummer about this 3D printing thing. I feel like, it would have been more fun. Maybe you guys are getting together, but I think it would have been more fun to have like big events where we're all printing together. And it seems like it's been a lot of individuals in homes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing right now, right? It's like not seeing each other and coughing at each other. We did the VERF 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I missed it. How did it go?
Oh man, VERF After
Amazing.
Dark was so much fun. We survived 6 hours of live streaming and doing this and changing guests every 15 minutes.
Wow.
And it was great.
If you want to see it, and for all the people who we had a week off that week, it is all up on our YouTube.
Yep.
Oh, cool. I'll watch it. Not all 6 hours. But I'll watch
take it in chunks.
I don't know. I've talked to a few people that are like, I started watching it and I just kept going because it was fun to watch. I was like, all right.
I can have it going while I'm drawing.
There you go.
Right.
But yeah, we're
That's
talking about
cool.
maybe doing it again. It was super fun, but like a smaller version, maybe like 2 hours.
Yeah.
6
Did it get
hours
insane?
was a lot. It just got busy. It got really busy. We had one part where we had 4 hosts and 3 guests on, and that was
Wow.
silly. And but it was really good discussion, and everybody was having fun. The best part about it was we only had about 20 minutes where everyone was talking about like COVID and all of that stuff, and the rest of it was just completely cool projects and neat stuff that everyone's working on and is excited about, and it was a good break from all the madness. So,
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was fun, and we should do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, I've learned to use Discord now. This is good.
I
Yes.
mean, you're in there. Like,
I'm working on it.
One weird side effect of that is we suddenly have a Discord room with like active discussion constantly, which was
Really?
neat.
Is that what I saw?
Oh yeah.
yeah. If you're in our server, you'll see the MOT and friends.
Right.
And that's just constantly going. Like, I literally checked in earlier today and then walked away for a couple hours, and it had like 200 plus messages on it.
Yeah, it's like a constant stream of consciousness that were on the show, or people that were excited about the show and wanted to talk about the show in like a random place. So it was super fun, and that was a neat side effect of it. So I'm excited about that.
That is cool. What if I click on that? Is it going to break something?
Should it?
no, the video
you
chat
should be.
will go
It'll
away.
just minimize your video.
Yeah.
It will? No, I don't want to. I don't want to break anything.
But
I will break something if I go. I'll check it out later.
so I gotta ask, is the printer belt
Please.
coming back?
Yes.
Yay.
So exciting.
Okay.
I've been bugging Bill like, since Earth, like was that 2018? When you had
Yeah, I know.
the little printer belt. I've been bugging Bill about different design ideas, and I haven't pulled the trigger on any designs because I don't know. I have had analysis paralysis on that so bad, and I really hate that. But it's
Yeah.
like when you commit to the angles and everything, you really commit to them, and it's hard to break out of it. It feels like so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've here's my take on the printer belt. So really it's Bill's, the seed. Now, he doesn't even take credit for it. Originally it was somebody else. I forget who it was. But he saw it, and so he went and did one. And his study, I don't think he'll mind me telling you this. You probably know this. But he took was it a MakerBot? I think it was the original one at Murph that he made. Yeah, and his design challenge to himself was, I'm going to make this belt idea like that other guy did, but I'm going to make it without, I'll print parts, but I'm not using anything but what came with the MakerBot. So he repurposed parts, and he had that little, it was hilarious, and he made that little ramp thing, and it would just, it was X and Y at the top, and then the belt was going down. And it was like Kapton or something, I forget.
Yeah.
And I just blew it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, mama. What is going on with that? Are you doing this? What are we doing? Let's do this. He's like, yes, let's do this. Way back then. And that was actually the first time I remember, I think that was the first time I met Bill face to face. And he was like, yeah, Brook, I know. I was like, well, I'm Brook. I know you. Like, how do you know me? He goes, I've been buying hundreds of printer boards from you. I'm like, oh, you're the guy? Like, why are you doing your Polar 3D? And he's like, yeah. I was like, why are you doing that? He's like, I designed a printer and we're using them for, I like that little board. I was like, okay. Anyway, so we hit it off. But when I got back and I started to design my own, I made a full on, it was already, I had seen, a decline. The peak was what, 2015 or something. And then there's this slow decline. And I got in this, it was horrible, as far as money was. China was coming in with, and I say China, there's a bunch of cheap printers out there, whether it's Kickstarter or whatever. And I was at its peak or its low, I was literally losing $100,000 a month. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I was freaking out. So when I did that printer belt, I did the cost. It was the one that I wanted, the white one. And I gave one to Bill. The first one Bill got, so he has the first one. And then I gave the other one to somebody else. I forget. But anyway, I made two of them. And then I'm that way when I design it and I build it, and until it works good. And when I'm happy, it's on to the next thing sometimes. And I was trying to get the cost down from that point, because I did the cost on it. It was like, we can't make money on this unless it's like $1,500. And I just felt like it was too much money.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of sent me spinning. At first, I did a big one. I did a 12 by 12 by 12, or, infinity. I did a big version of that. And it gets, with that slant, they get big quick if you want to increase the height.
Yeah.
And so that was even more expensive, but I had to do it because I wanted to see if it would work. It worked.
What were you using for the belt there?
Shim stock.
Okay.
You can get 12-inch wide shim stock on McMaster car. It's in my other little storage room, but
somewhere
I forget the
here.
thickness. Yeah.
It's like 12 inch by 104 inches or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I made it as big as I could. We used almost all of the shim stock on that little roll. And then we coat it with this really thick, one Kapton, really thick Kapton on two sides. And we just butted the belt up, just a butt joint. And Bill still has the same one. And he says still works.
Oh, wow.
He did. I prototyped the tensioners out of, whatever, PLA or whatever. And he goes, those broke right away. I was like, well, yeah, because he puts a lot of force on it. He really gets it tight. And he did this, I think famously. He went to Oshkosh, and, he's a pilot. He's got it. He's an interesting
He's
dude.
a madman. I love Bill.
But, yeah, he's awesome. And now my partner. It's official. We are partners. Anyway.
Tell him how much fun you had on the show, because I'd love to have him on sometime.
Yeah. Oh, he'd do it. So anyway, he printed 1,400 or 1,200 or some unbelievable amount of these little like TOS gliders with that one printer in a weekend.
Oh wow!
And he just.
I know the little TOS
I was like
gliders you're talking
1,200. Yeah. And some of them would fail, and he just flick them off, and they dump in the bucket. But he left it running all night and everything, so he just all the time anyway. So anyway, I was like, wow, it actually works that well, and I was kind of shocked because I had never done that. I was doing like weird, like one-time swords and stuff like that. And anyway, the point being is it was too expensive, and the rep belt came out of that like, how can I make this cheap? And I didn't really see a lot of, there were, guys like you, Joe, that like stuff like that, weird junk. And I like that stuff too. But the point is, I wasn't convinced it was a mass market thing. Well, just last week, I don't know if this is news yet, but Creality's making one.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Like we've got people inside. And, I mean, what's her name? Sexy cyborg.
Naomi.
Chick.
Yeah.
Naomi Wu.
Yeah. She works for Corelli. So we found out like during the party, and had a picture of it. And, Bill was like, and I was like, no, this is good. Somebody else, the one out front is the one with arrows in their back. You know what I mean? You got to chase those guys. So I actually wish them the best and success, because I really do think that it has a place, these belts, they have a place in 3D printing. And we're not going to make printers like Creality. They have their niche, they do their thing, and that's fantastic. And we think some will choose us. So yeah, we're going to put our own little spin on it. But it will, I don't really consider myself that. I mean, I've probably designed more printer belts than anybody else, because I've designed a bunch of them. But like I told you, most of them were horrible,
Right.
And that's why you haven't
enough,
seen them. But I've done it a lot, and we've made a bunch with my own hands and folded metal and all of it. So I have experience there. And he has experience with that software and the slicer and stuff. So it's going to be a fun thing to do. But we didn't feel like that was an appropriate first printer. Because, after I've been gone for so long, like, you don't want to come out with here's the oddball, and I'm back, 12 of you are going to be very excited about this.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Where can I pre-order?
Anyway, so I'm totally interested in it, but we want to take our time, do it right, and kind of see what happens with the Creality printer. And frankly, it's good that they are doing it, because it was hard to find a belt. We looked in China for belts, and
it's real hard.
Yes.
Nobody wants to make them.
No.
And like all the weird materials are hard to make a belt out of. And like the White Knight, have you seen that thing?
Yeah. Crazy.
It's that belt's $500.
Yeah, I thought it was like 400 and something. I called the same company. I was just Googling, like looking. And I forget, belts online or something weird like that. And I was like, yep, is that right? Did I get that right? Belts online, or
it's like Belt Technologies.
Yeah.
It's a very generic name.
Where did you get that? Belt Technologies. Oh, them. I called him or emailed, I forget, both actually. And he goes, "Hey, is this the White Knight guy?" And I'm like, "I have the right place." And I was like, no, another guy. And he's like, "Wait a minute. Never mind. I don't know if I should talk to you." I'm like, "Well, I'm buying, so don't you want to talk to customers?" He was like, "Well, I don't know if I can say anything." I'm like, "Okay." Anyway, he was really cool about it. And I think my cost was going to be $400 or something like that. I told I forget his name. I don't mean disrespect. The White Knight guy. What's his name? I forget.
Carl Knack.
Carl. Yeah. I told him, they quoted me like 400. Maybe it was for one, but anyway, he's like, "Wow. Yeah." But It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
If you
looking
check out
at the Squire, which is like a half-length belt, and even that was, we were going to order 10 of them, and it was still like $280 a belt when we were ordering it. So
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if you've seen the Infinity Printer forum
yeah.
that I started a year and a half ago. Yeah, so there's people on there that have been trying to do group buys on the belts.
Brent, the prosthetic guy I mentioned earlier, he has Additive America. They have a black belt, and he said it's awesome. I'm like, really? He goes, oh yeah, it's very, very reliable, very expensive, but very reliable. It's a good printer. I'm like, huh? Do you use it a lot? He goes, not after we got the HP. I'm like, because I mean, I don't know if you guys have experience printing with a belt printer, but you know, they're squirrely. They take. It's tough to do it where it's super reliable for 24/7 all the time. That's just really hard to do.
yeah. Well, and it's, you know, the angle's weird. Like the layer alignment is weird, but also it lends strength. Like, you know, a lot of times if you want something to be real strong, you print it on a corner in a bed of supports, and you get that weird,
Yeah, I know.
kind
It's
of layer
weird.
interfusion.
Super funky what you can do with overhangs too. Like I printed stuff that I was like, look at this. I was bringing guys, look at this thing. What is it doing? I don't even know what's happening. It's super weird, like way out. And it's just strange.
So how did you do your hot end? Because that's been one of the things that's really hung me up is like just getting it to the point where like a nozzle can touch the bed with an off-the-shelf hot end, not having to machine my own nozzles.
Yeah, I did. Well, of course, the Ubis hot ends, I'm a fan. On Twitter, I hear not everyone is. But
I saw your rant against Matt the other day. Look here, Ubis hot ends.
yes. I was like,
It was
okay,
so
I'm
fun,
going
'cause I was
in.
waiting
I'm
for
going
it.
in. I have a soft spot for Carl because I know him so well. And it's just impossible. It's impossible for people to get how talented this guy is and how much work and experience the guy has. Here's a funny story about Carl. I don't think he'd ever listen to this, so I can tell stories about him. This guy got at HP. He was at HP for 30 years, and as an engineer, he started when they were making calculators that cost $2,000.
Oh,
wow.
Oh,
Two-
man.
Okay.
2 desks down, or maybe it was 4 desks down from him, Wozniak. That's right down there. So he went to the computer club with Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Like he was there when all of that happened. Front row, Silicon Valley, and he would go in. He tells me stories about going into the room where when they started to make memory, and Asian women were the only people with small enough hands to sew the copper wire around the magnets. And he would go in and just watch them on his lunch break, make 1 bit of memory from physical things and loop them together.
Wow.
Oh
So
my
he's
God.
been, he started way back then, and he grew in the company, and he took over when he ended his 30 years, he was in charge of the failure analysis lab for HP printers. And so he was using like, X-ray machines, $1 million electron microscopes. I mean, his knowledge of materials and processes, and he spent time in China and the whole everything. He knows all of it. It's nuts. He can design anything. It's just insane, some of the projects that he's been involved with. And he understands failure. Like he's looked at some of the worst problems that HP had and solved them with products that were already out the door, and they had to figure out why they were failing, and he'd have to get a fix for it and stuff. So he's not just some dude with a drill and a drill like me. I was a drill press, and I got my Harbor Freight, pneumatic coupling, and I was making hot ends in my garage. I was like, he took one look at my first hot end. He took one look at that and like, this is crap. And I'm like, can you do any better? And he was like, yes, I can. A lot better. And I was like, prove it. And he did. And I mean, I still have his first. I might even have it. Oh, it's not a visual. Sorry. It's not a visual thing, but let me describe you. Here it is. This is number 1. What we have here is PTFE. It's a acorn nut drilled out with like this wad of like nichrome wire with silicone rubber around it, a couple nuts, and some poorly lathed plastic. Anyway, so he started there, and it got better and better and better and better. So he every time E3D would come out with a new hot end, and I like those guys. Don't get me wrong, I like them. They've done good things. I don't question anybody's, whatever. But he was down the street from me. I used his, because I could go to, he would go in my shop every day almost. Sometimes it was every day. And fix whatever, bring me stuff overnight. And he'd call me at 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes. Hey, you still up? Can I come down? I'm like, okay, come on down. He never sleeps. And so anyway, he's just really, really, really great guy. And he's taught me a lot. So I like the guy. And what are you going to do? He's a wonderful human being, but he has the knowledge to back it up. So he would take something that was on another printer that somebody bought and brought in to show me. And he would take the E3D stuff and he would do what he did for a living at HP. He would analyze it. And he'd come back the next day all buzzed, and I'm like, did you take that thing? What did you do? He's like, oh, I found all the flaws. I'm like, oh, did you now? And he's like, yeah, but if I tell you, I don't want you to tell anybody. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to help them. They have their own, they're not even going to believe me, Carl. Just tell me what you found. So he'd pick it apart and show me all the flaws and stuff. And he'd do that with everything. He'd do that with things that I did, everything. And he'll still tell me to this day. And he did the last time I talked to him. Well, not the last time, but like 2 times ago. He says, Brook, the reason you went bankrupt is you didn't ask me first. I went out and bought, like $500,000 pick and place line. And when he found out, he was so pissed at me. He was like, that was the stupidest thing you've ever done in your life. You will live to regret this. I was like, really? Well, I don't think so. He was right.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
He was right. Anyway, I like this.
I think I would a night of drinks with Carl Ubis. I think we would have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, Carl doesn't drink. And funny enough, Brian didn't drink either, but I'm a big beer fan. So everybody in the company, we'd have beer Fridays. Carl and Brian would show up for the companionship and just the friends, but they'd have Dr. Pepper or water or something.
I would
He's a
drink
great
Cherry
guy.
Pepsi with him just to pick his brain and hear his stories. I love those guys.
He has stories, man, but he's just really knowledgeable. But yeah, so what I did with that Printrbot was I took a tip over to the lathe and gave it a little finer tip. That's all I did. It was because these hot ends, I'm holding up a E3D knockoff I got with something. And, that circle of cooling fins is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got that block on it that's like bulky and in the way a little bit. This is like super elegant and it's very, very small. I forget what that measures.
What is that thing you just held up? That's not on ubishotends.com.
This is, that's the first one that was made.
Oh, okay.
It was just machined and we didn't anodize it. But, it's smaller, so you can get in there tighter. So it leans over at crazy angles because it reaches down further.
Yeah.
That's why Autodesk chose the R&D team that did the Escher. They chose simple metal because the Ubis hot end could reach down further into the print to do those crazy.
Okay.
When they were printing in Z, they said, "Yeah, that's the only one that will reach down far enough." And eventually, they did their own with like a needle, going down.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just leaned it over, and I I've given away the drawings. I mean, you probably can get the drawings.
Yeah.
I
have it in Fusion.
Yeah. It's easier with that hot end. Oh yeah. There's more where that came from. I wish somebody would just come organize all my crap. I've got thousands of drawings that will never see the light of day unless somebody really gets bored and I give them my login. clean this thing out. Get it out of here.
Oh,
Everything
God.
must go. But it's embarrassing. Does your Fusion look like that? Like 1,500 things you don't need?
Yes. Like you could scroll for days in my projects. There's just projects on top of projects on top of projects. And then you go into my archive projects from the times I get real OCD and I archive all the things I'm not working on. I'm just like, oh, God. So many.
Yeah. I've got, got organized because I had all these computers left over from Printrbot and they weren't worth much because they're old. And I was trying to get everything on one drive and I bought a 2 terabyte and I got all these projects. And it is hilarious how many folders are just called clutter. There's clutter folders with clutter folders with clutter folders. I'm not kidding. I think that's part of being a maker, isn't it?
Yes.
Piles of stuff, a bit of a hoarder.
I think it truly is.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we all got roasted for on Tim's printer roast, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are all maker spaces like that too? Because ours is a little bit like that.
I think the best maker spaces are. So,
yeah.
Back.
So is the inverse true?
Yes. Like, so there was a time when I was helping organize a corporate makerspace, and we were benchmarking other makerspaces. And as part of that, I ended up getting to know Dan Woods, the CEO of Tech Shop. And they ended up coming to Peoria, and they came and toured River City Labs, which is our makerspace, which is just a clusterfuck of wonderful chaos. Would you guys describe it any different?
Oh no, that's pretty good.
Especially at the time that they came.
Yes.
At the time, yes.
And then we went and toured the Cat makerspace at Caterpillar, which is the corporate makerspace that I built.
Oh, yeah.
And when we went and toured River City Labs, Dan and his team were just like, this place is amazing. There's stuff everywhere. You could tell how much all the members love the space, and look at all the art and like the craziness that's going on in this space. You can tell it's got character. And then we went to the corporate space, and they walked in and they're like, has anyone ever made anything in here?
Yeah.
People don't use your space, do they? And the managers were like, no, we're having trouble finding engagement. And they're just like, Joe, haven't you told them that cleanliness tends to equal nobody doing anything? And I was like, I've tried to. It was a very life-affirming moment for me.
Yeah, when I moved to Wichita, I toured the 2 that I could find. One was the Wichita State makerspace that was, funded by Koch brothers, and it had unbelievable equipment. But when you walk in the door, I don't want to be too hard on them because maybe I'll go there. But the things that were different was you walked in the front door and you had to check in at like 3 spots. And then when you finally get through the 3rd airlock or whatever, the president, the makerspace president had a desk, and there was like a motorcycle from American Choppers by his desk for him to look at. And I was like, that's like $150,000 bike. Yeah, it's really neat. Really neat. Don't touch it. And I'm like, okay. And there's like a glass spiral staircase, to look over. It was just crazy. And they had like 5-axis water jet and stuff. And like, this is awesome. Do I get to use this stuff? And they were like, no, you may not use those tools. I'm like, who uses them? you have to submit your work to the resident student that is over that machine. I was like, what? I owned a water jet. I can work a water jet. No, nope. Only he is allowed to use it. So I was like, okay. What was the monthly again? It was like $130 something.
Yeah.
What are your hours? Oh, like 8 to 3, 4. I'm like, 4? It was just weird like that. Don't quote me on any of that, but the point was it was over $100 and they closed early and they charge you for every material you use.
Yep.
I went to the Make ICT, man. It was like, card yourself in. They let me in. Like some guy was like, hey, you want to look around? I'll give you a tour. I'm like, whatever. You want to make something? Like, I'll help you. Like, whatever. And all these materials are free. Like, just take them. And Cessna gives us all that stuff. Oh, cool. Awesome. And they had everything. One of my printers was over there. I was like, oh, cool. They had a metal shop. They had welders and it's just fantastic. A Tormach, the whole wood shop. The wood shop, they're a little more marked down because you can cut off a finger, but
yep.
It was awesome.
We know that.
I got all 10.
So do we.
Got all 10 right here.
But there was that
Okay, good.
one time.
I do sometimes wish, sometimes some of these maker spaces, they do, like, I get the vibe, but I think it does turn some people away, the way some of it's just like super disorganized or crazy, and it scares them a little bit. There's some really, really smart people that are, neat freaks.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we should have like a neat corner for them. Like, this is where you live, and we'll leave that alone. Because we want you here too.
Yeah, we have a couple of those in our makerspace, and we're just constantly apologizing to them.
I'm sorry.
Like, it's gonna be okay. He didn't mean to mess up your stuff. He's just like trying to get something done. Like, but it's gonna be okay. All right, I promise.
Dude, my makerspace, I don't know what yours costs, but mine is $25 a month. Can you beat that?
No, ours is about.
Is that 24/7 access?
24/7. I got a card. I can get in any time of day, any day of week.
That's awesome.
Beep.
Yeah,
I'm
we
in.
can't beat that. Wow.
And they have like 400 and some members or 500 and some members. It's pretty crazy.
That's how they can do that.
Yeah, we have about.
The place was a dive. The new one's a lot better though.
We have about 60 members, and we're $45 a month. Still.
Oh, that's still very good.
So.
Oh yeah, no. Comparatively, we're still like very much on the low end.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that's 25, man. That's a dream.
Now my wife's going to tell me, Brooke, it's 45. I don't know what it is, but it's cheap. Just going to be honest. She pays the bills.
Yeah, we just raised our membership. Was that last year? Maybe the year before?
I think it's 2 years ago.
Stay alive, man. Do what you got to do.
We moved spaces, moved to a much better space, and had to pay a little bit more money, and everyone was okay with it. So that's how we did it.
Absolutely. Man, that's cheap even.
Yeah.
I wish you well with that. I mean, even if it was $100, man, it would be worth every penny for the guys that are using it.
Yeah, and the community that exists inside it, that it fosters, like that's really what like the makerspace, I think, brings. Is
Totally.
That like. I don't know, that togetherness that you don't find other places. It's so hard to find like-minded people that are creative and that are excited about spending an entire day making a toilet handle. But when you walk into a makerspace and you tell everybody you did that, everyone's like, fuck yeah!
Yeah! Oh, yeah.
You'll get a good, like, 3 armchair engineers behind you trying to
Yeah.
point at your handle and be like,
do it better.
Right.
Hey, while you're here, then go fix the one in the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Guess what you just volunteered for? Okay.
That would be a good little bonus question for you. All your guests, you should just ask. We want to know the worst use of time on a project that you've done in recent history?
Oh, that's excellent. That's a great question.
Because we've all got a long list of terrible ideas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That should be a show and tell too. Bring your worst or biggest time sink, unfinished project or something like that. It'd be hilarious. Those are the stories I want to hear. You know what I mean? It's like, what'd you learn?
Yes.
Right. No, absolutely, absolutely.
That would be the hardest thing for me to figure out what to bring.
No, here it is. You go over to your pile, you're like, I don't know, one of these. Okay, I'll just take this. I don't care. They're all dumb. No. Go into my closet. I mean, look behind me. There's a whole bunch of them. Just pick one. Don't you think I want to be that guy though? I want to be the guy that's always trying.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, at the beginning of the apocalypse, I had this moment where my wife was like, "Why are you throwing yourself into all this PPE stuff so hard when it might not go anywhere?" And it's like, you know that point in an apocalypse movie where they find a new group of people, and the guy that fix things and get them out of situations suddenly meets the rest of the nerds, and he's like in the science room, and he's like figuring out all the weapons, and he like tells them how to save the world. That's this moment for me. Don't take it away. And she suddenly stopped bothering me.
That is awesome.
Yeah. That's all. I've lived my entire life to find that moment, and this is probably as close as I'm gonna get.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Feel it.
No, don't think that way. This is just the beginning.
Ugh.
This is just the beginning.
I'm only
Man.
35. There's so many more pandemics and terrible things that could happen in my lifetime.
Oof.
Wow. I gotta go.
Yeah.
On that happy note. No.
Right.
Yeah, whoever's listening to this right now, you're really missing out by not seeing the faces of these gentlemen.
Yeah, you really killed it with the multiple pandemic comment. We're all just like,
So what do you...
He's not wrong.
Man.
Let's bring the mood back up. We're close to the end of the episode. What are you the most excited about with Printrbot 2.0, Brook?
It's not a prepared answer, but honestly, it's stuff like this. Like getting back into the community, honestly. Like, I can build printers. Yes, we can do that. And we're going to. And that's going to be fun. Not doing, not making the mistakes I made in the past. That'll be really, really nice. Like, just for me personally, it'll be good.
So no Printrbot Labs?
No, there will be a Printrbot Labs.
Good. I got scared for a second.
No. It's me, man. I got a lot of bad ideas I want to share with everyone. But that'll be less of a part of Printrbot. Because Printrbot will run smooth and we'll do manufacturing a little differently. I won't be out there sweating over every screw and bolt. I'll design them and we'll make sure the QC is good, but it's going to be a little bit different, but it'll free up time. I waste retrospect, man. Oh, brutal. I look back and I wasted a lot of time doing things I didn't have to do. I chose to because I did want to learn, but at some point it was not fruitful.
Right.
So I'm coming in having learned a lot already, and I don't need to do that again. But I do want to free up time, so I'm doing those passion projects. So absolutely, I'll still do that stuff. Yeah. Yep. I don't want to tease anything now because everything's half done. But that's Printrbot Lab stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, I will do that. But I'm looking forward to these type of moments, the meetups where in person, where you get to see people at Murph or Earth or whatever it is. I don't know what I'm going to do without maker fairs. That's weird.
Well, I mean, they're still happening as long as social gatherings are okay again. They're still happening, especially the community fairs. Like Milwaukee was still going to happen this year, and Detroit was still happening. So
that's cool. Yeah, I need to get to some of those then, because actually the Bay Area one was pretty overwhelming. I think the smaller ones are fun too.
Milwaukee was a lot of fun.
Milwaukee's a ton of fun.
That's awesome.
I would highly suggest.
Yeah, and we have our own Maker Fest here in Peoria. Bring about 5,000 people in, and
fun.
It's super fun. And as of now, it's still happening. So Wichita's not that far from Peoria. It's like 9 hours. You should come hang out. It's in August.
Oh, August. Okay.
Yeah, come hang out.
I'll get details on it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What's it called? Maker Fest.
Maker Fest. It's Midwest Maker Fest.
I'm making a note. This is the sound of my pen on paper.
No. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's fun. It's people, man. It's people.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is making is people.
Sweet. Are you going to do any more Printrbot CNCs?
I got to say, I can't help but be interested in that stuff. I can't help it.
Good. I still loved the slant bed CNC you did. That was my favorite. That one was so cool.
Yeah, that one, I gave it back to Brian, and he swore to build it. Brian designed it, and it was our idea. And, it was back when I couldn't draw so good. So I'd draw marker on window, and he'd like, okay. But man, that thing, it is cool.
That was the coolest one. The Crawlbot was neat.
Yeah, Crawlbot's cool.
CNCs that cut away their own support are hard for me.
Yeah. That's fun. I like the stuff, so I want to stay in it. I've got a couple of little pet projects in the CNC space, but again, these I've said this before. You probably heard me say it, but distinguishing the products from the projects was what I did not do well before, and I will do well now. And the beautiful thing about project is there's no end in sight. I could go on forever tweaking on this thing, and it does not matter.
Yeah.
The second money is involved, then that's out the window. Expectations, go up.
Yeah.
But I want to have fun too, people. So yeah, I'm going to do that stuff.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear it. Super excited to see what you have in the future.
Dude, and here's the only plug that I've made yet. Here's the plug. Ready?
Ready.
I did start my electric motor and controller company too. That's real. That happened.
Nice.
And just yesterday or this morning, I got from there's 3 guys, me, Julian in the Netherlands, and Paul in Kansas City. And what do? Not a lot. I hand the money out, and we had a little angel investment, so we're burning through that quick. But anyway, these guys are the brains, and I get to watch them go. One's an electronic engineer; he designs all the controllers, and they are crazy awesome. And then one guy designs the motors that move like cars and buses, like big electric.
Oh wow! Okay.
PMSM motors, like it's serious.
Shit.
And the controller guy, Paul, it's a crazy story. He was moving from down in Missouri, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, up to Kansas City. Stops at a hotel for the night, or they go to dinner, come back, and all of their stuff was stolen.
Oh.
Including one of our only 2 motors. We had 2, and one was stolen. So it's got junked for, kills me. $6,000 worth of my money. Just poof. And anyway, but they found the trailer and his Leaf and it was like all bashed in with hammers and crap. But that Leaf came back alive last night with the new controller and started spinning tires.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So it's like, it works. He's like, it works. He like ran to the other room. It's like communication through CAN bus, and he's like around the corner, like turning his little potentiometer. It's like, anyway.
Oh, that's
cool.
super cool.
So that's real. That's happening. And I'm going to have a car, life dream. I'm going to have a car that has that's what I'm wearing. Joule Motors. Joule Motors. Is that right? Yeah, it's Joule Motor, singular, JouleMotor.com, but it's actually Joule Motors, LLC. JouleMotors. Or singular, no S. Anyway, I get to have an electric car someday soon. And I'm going to build it, me.
That's awesome. You should make the Gia
That's really
electric.
cool.
I am talking to my son about that. That may be vehicle number 1. And I said,
There you go.
I said, son, listen, you're going to be making what, $5 an hour at Chick-fil-A when you finally get that job? So, whatever they pay, 15. I said, do you want to have to buy gas or do you not want to have to buy gas? Do you want to stink and wonder if it's going to start or do you want to go fast? Which one?
I want to
The
go
ultimate
fast.
sleeper car right there.
Yeah, but actually, I still have I have a Porsche Boxster. They didn't take it from me because I owed too much money on it. Oh, you have a Porsche? Well, what do you owe on that? Never mind. You keep paying. I owe like 10 grand on it. But anyway, so I got that. I might actually make the Porsche the electric too.
That'd be
We'll
cool.
have to see how it goes.
That'd be super cool.
But anyway, I'm excited about that because it's something that I haven't done before, and I'm learning a lot about all of this, and it's really fun. So 2 companies, crazy to think that 2 years ago I was just on the way down, and now we're going to try to build it back up a little bit.
Hell
But-
yeah.
No, that's super
But-
exciting. Very happy for you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Very happy to see. This is what I expected. When the minute I heard you were going out, I was like, he's not going out. He's just taking a break.
He's going to pay his dues, and let me tell you, you don't want to. Oh, bankruptcy sucks.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It is, soul crushing. It's rough,
Oh,
very rough.
I'm glad you
But it's over.
dug your way out of it,
Yeah.
and they're still here. That's the main
Yeah.
point. But
Dude, that stuff doesn't matter. It's like, I feel bad that people, I know guys, like I had a friend in California that was, I don't know if you know who Arlen Ness is. He's a motorcycle designer, I mean.
yeah,
And well, Arlen Ness wasn't ever a motorcycle designer. Arlen Ness's motorcycle designer was a guy named Carl Breward. And Carl Breward designed the most beautiful motorcycles in the world. He actually got that prize in Sacramento one time, the most beautiful motorcycle in the world. Carl Breward, the 57 motorbike that he did, all of those motorcycles that are beautiful and crazy were done by my buddy Carl. Often on the back of a pizza box or something like that. He was a sign painter who became a body guy and then designed motorcycles. Anyway, because when you sell a motorcycle for $200,000, people get real mad sometimes if they don't like it just the way they wanted to. So he got sued for this and that and the other, and he went bankrupt. And it ruined him. It ruined his health. He had 2 heart attacks, and now he's dead. He died. Bankruptcy will kill people. It's crazy. Not me, my friend. Not me.
good.
Still kicking.
Good.
Coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I like that. I don't ever want to say, I'm back. back. I want to say I'm planning on coming back. I'll get there eventually. But my battle cry is more like, I ain't giving up.
Yes.
I am not giving up. I may lose, but I'm not giving up.
That's what's important. I like to manage expectations. I live life by ifs, maybes, and I don't knows. That way I can exceed my promises. You know?
I like that.
Under promise, over deliver.
Always. Always. That's what I teach my kids. You know, if you're not going to clean your room, don't tell me you're going to clean your room. Tell me you're going to try. And then when you do, I'm going to be... I don't have to be mad. You know? Like...
Yeah, that's good. I'd rather get no than okay. You know, no,
at least I can argue with no.
Yes. Oh, now it's a different question. Who is stronger? I am.
Yes.
Oh man.
All right. Well, we've been doing this for almost an hour and a half, and I have been having an absolute blast, but we are definitely reaching our listeners' attention span level. So, Brook, do you have anything you want to add?
Thank you guys so much for letting me play for a while. I appreciate it, man. Best of luck just keep doing this, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome back.
Thanks.
Anytime. It was super fun having you. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Chris, Aaron? Any questions?
Nope.
We'll definitely have to have you come on because I would love to hear some of the more history stuff behind it and whatnot, what got you into it. But yeah, we are kind of reaching that point, so we will definitely have to have you on for another time.
Sounds good. I accept.
Awesome. Well, with that, guys, keep making stuff.
This is the end of the podcast. Bam. Nailed it.